For a long time, I was really alone as a kid. I was bullied at a young age. I felt like I didn't have anyone around me, and I honestly didn't trust that God was there for me, even though she had told me that story. And so I always felt super alone. I felt like I had no one. And so I would just always come home crying or just being really downcast about where I was at. And it wasn't until I really just came to my mom and she was a really big spiritual staple in my life, my mom was. And so it wasn't till a point where I really came to her and was like, Mom, I don't know why, but I just feel so alone, and you told me that God was there for me, but I really just don't feel that in how I'm living or how my life is going. And so she was like, well, how are you living your life that is in pursuit of God? Or what do you think you could change? Or it was something along those lines, that it was like, how are you expecting God to be? What are you expecting God to do? And I was like, well, I'm expecting God to just do anything I want him to do, to be my genie, answer my questions when I ask him directly, all these things. And she was like, well, he works in that sometimes, but you really have to give what you want to be answered to God. And so that spoke out to me more than anything had before, just because I was experiencing such loneliness. And she was like, well, come to God in your loneliness. Don't just expect him. Don't wait for him to come to you. Go to him with your loneliness. And so that was really when I started chasing after God and really wanting to follow God instead of just expecting him or waiting for him like I was waiting for everyone else to do stuff. I wasn't really chasing things. I was just kind of waiting and having life just kind of flow through and at me instead of trying to go with it and chase it. And so that was a really big part of my life where I really saw God moving. And then after that, I got involved in a youth group. I started seeing God move in my life more when I actually started giving my life to him. Before I gave my life, and what I call giving my life, I wasn't really thinking of God in my life. I thought of him as someone in the background who was just there and who was like, oh yeah, this guy loves you. Or I didn't even think of that. I just thought of that he was there. And then after that talk with my mom where it was like, yeah, he loves you so much and has boundless love and care for you, but you really have to initiate that care and you really have to go to him. My relationship with God was purely through my parents. And so after I started making that relationship my own via really praying to God, really actually engaging with God, really engaging with Jesus, being intentional with my prayers instead of just asking for a Lego set, actually asking him to be involved in my life. That's when I really started chasing for God, I would say, and growing my faith with him, just in that I actually started developing a relationship with him and then I actually got to experience his love. This was 4th grade, and it's so crazy to think, but I think it was a week after doing this, Jesus moved a kid from New Zealand to Pullman, Washington, and he started going to my elementary school, and we became best friends the day he got there. And then it also turned out that his dad would then turn out to be one of my really good friends and mentors, because he was the youth pastor at Emmanuel Baptist Church, which is where we are right now. And I just got to grow into their whole family and really feel like exterior Christian community that wasn't just my family. It was like a second family almost, that I could never have known without letting God do that.